Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Nick from forexfornoobs.com with the live analysis. Today is Tuesday, the 23rd of July 2019, and the time is 10:01 here in the UK. You're looking at a USDCAD daily chart. So let's get started with the analysis. We're actually going to pop up to AUDCAD, and we're also going to check out the news before we get into anything, just see what's happening this week. But spoiler alert, there's not much in terms of news. Not much. Monday, there was nothing. Today, there's nothing. Tomorrow, 8:15 a.m., before the next webinar, we have the French Flash Services PMI, not important. German Manufacturing PMI, not important. German Flash Services PMI, not important. Well, if you're trading like below the 1 hour chart, these could technically be important, but unlikely. I only really consider these ones important, the PMI numbers, when they are borderline 50 and they go above 50, or they're borderline above 50 and they go below 50. So, yeah, I don't really consider them that important right now. So yeah, tomorrow, pretty much nothing. And then Thursday, we'll discuss on Thursday. We'll just actually point out this one, because that's going to be before Thursday's webinar. RBA Governor Lowe speaks. It's important for the AUD. It's important. Hey Robert, David, Aaron, Gil, Sydney, Raphael, hey everyone. Forgot to say hello, sorry. So yeah, for this speech here, you just want to be careful with any AUD trade you're in. What's he speaking at? It's probably not going to cause anything. It's just a pre-planned speech. Doesn't look like there's going to be audience questions. I wouldn't even worry too much about this. So it looks like a pretty dead news week, which to some people like that, but to be honest, I prefer a bit more of an active news week myself. Gets the markets moving. All right, so in terms of setups, what do we have today? AUDCAD potential short from resistance here. EURJPY potential long from support here. GBPUSD potential long from support, but more likely it's probably going to break down, and I'm looking for a short there. We're just going to see what happens. If it stalls out, there's a potential long here. We'll come back to these towards the end when I do the summary, and I'll get into them in more detail. First, we'll look for potential setups, and then we'll do the summary, and I'll go into them in detail. And there's a potential short here on USD-CAD. These are the ones I already have marked. I marked them yesterday as potentials. Let's look for some new ones real quick and see if we can find any. We have a bit of a range here on AUDJPY, but it's a pretty poor range, and I'm honestly not that interested in trading it. Can't remember why this is here. Don't know. Dollar index is interesting. It's pushing back up to this resistance area. I want to keep an eye on it. I want to see what happens at this resistance area. Potential short. I know not everyone can trade dollar index, but there's some potential there. USDCHF is hitting a pretty strong support area, very similar to GBPCHF. Let's keep an eye on it. Let's see what happens here. Up to EURJPY. There's a short trade here last week that has worked out pretty well. Now it's hit the support area and it's pushing back up. It was a potential long trade here at the support area, but on the lower time frames. It's already triggered though, so it's a bit late to enter. So there's basically, that would be from this support area, the long trade that was taken. That's too late to enter. That's a long continuation. But yeah, it's too late to enter, like I said. Let's see what happens. Let's see if it breaks this high. If it keeps pushing up and breaks this high, then I'll be looking for a long, but it's a fair way away from that, so not too bothered right now. EURUSD is just a bit of a mess. GBPAUD, price stalling out here at support, but it's just, the reason I'm not interested in this is because it's moving sideways on top of this support area. So it's been moving sideways for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. I'm just not convinced anymore that it's going to push up from here. Now, it could drop down and give us a short continuation, but things are so unclear right now that I'm not that interested. Let's mark it anyway. We'll mark it as a potential and we'll look for a short continuation, but I don't think anything's going to happen here. But, you know, let's keep an open mind and just see how it goes. GBPCAD, nah, that's just too messy. No. No. Oh, damn. I removed my support resistance areas yesterday from GBPUSD. I was going to redo them, but I didn't redo them yet. I forgot. Damn it. I'm just going to take this. Gonna move this out of the way for now. So price is hitting the support area right now. Something like that. So we have some new support resistance for GBPUSD. So price is dropping down and hitting the support area right now. It's already bounced away from there once. It looks like it's going for a second attempt. This could be a channel forming. It's got 2 bounces from the top already. So if we get a second bounce from the bottom, this could be a nice channel forming. Let's keep a close eye on this. There's definitely potential here, but there's also potential that it's just going to keep dropping down and fall through this support area. That would be interesting because that is a low that we haven't seen in a significant amount of time. If it breaks below this low, and this low itself was just an anomaly, so it's hard to even count that as a proper low. So it's lows that we haven't seen since, you know, after the Brexit announcement, where it dropped down in 2016. And then it stuck around there for a short period of time. And if I remember correctly, these were the lowest lows since the 80s or something for GBP. So we're getting back to those 80s lows. Well, I guess now they're 2016 lows, but those are some pretty significant lows there. So I'm very curious to see what happens when it falls further into the support area. There's potential for a long there. Let's mark that one and we'll take a closer look shortly. New Zealand CAD, nothing. New Zealand USD looks like it's starting a bit of a bullish trend here. But it's not, the trend is not established yet, so It did break above this 200 moving average, which is a nice support area. There's definitely potential for a long here, especially since it's broken above the 200 moving average. Now, I know it's weird to see me using moving averages since I'm a price action trader, but I'm using these as a price action indicator. I'm not using it to do moving average crosses where two moving averages cross together and then I enter. It's nothing like that. The 200 moving average is an indicator that is used by traders in major banks and in major funds as a gauge to basically where the trend is going. When price breaks above the 200 moving average, think of it as a resistance area. When it breaks above it, it's breaking above resistance and the trend starts going up. When it breaks below it, it's breaking below support and the trend starts going down. So with this 200 moving average, it lined up perfectly with one of our support resistance areas. Price bounced away from it. Second attempt, instead of bouncing away, it broke through. Actually took a failed trade here last week. And now it's coming back and it's testing it. So there's definitely potential for a long here. Let's keep an eye on it. What was this? Can't remember what this was. Is anyone short on USDCHF? There's potential here if price stalls out, but it doesn't look like it's stalling, so yeah, right. Cool. So let's do a bit of a summary here, guys. Just gonna organize these. Right, yeah, let's do a summary. So what do we have for today? Today, we have a potential short forming here on AUDCAD. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. But I talked about this on the forum, David. It's hard to call this a continuation because when you zoom out, you'll see that the trend is down. It's a bearish trend. So when you say continuation, you're talking about a continuation of the major trend. This is far from a major trend. This looks just like the pullback in the bearish trend. The major trend on the daily and on the weekly is very bearish. So we can't just say, oh, it's been moving up for a short while. Let's pretend this is a bullish trend and trade a continuation. Continuations are of the major trend. That's why we're willing to take more risk on continuations. That's why our targets are bigger on continuations, because we're trading with the major trend. This here started on the 18th of June, started a month ago, and has barely moved up, really. Like in the scope of, it's barely moved up. It's gone from here to here. Whereas this trend has gone a lot further. So yeah, I wouldn't really call this a continuation. It's not a horrible setup, but it's not a continuation. Price is stalling out on support here. but going long is a bit risky. It stopped, oops, stopped here last time. So I wouldn't be surprised if it just goes like that again. Plus that 200 moving average is above it, which acts as resistance. And it acts as pretty good resistance here on AUDUSD. You can see that it's been obeying it really well on AUDUSD. Doesn't quite have to touch it, but just think of it as an area. It gets very close to it and then backs away. There. So it's an okay setup, but I'm personally not interested. I was looking at it yesterday thinking maybe, but the more I looked at it, the more I thought it's just not worth it. It's too risky. Anyway, let's do a summary, guys. AUDCAD price stalling out on resistance. Right here. Potential short from resistance here. Bit of a tricky trade, bit of a risky trade. If we look to the left, we'll see that price was moving sideways for a bit here. So there's definitely some minor support resistance through here. Now, it might not look like it on the daily chart, but if you were to go down to, let's say, the 6 hour, then you can see it a lot more clearly, right? So going short here might be a bit of a risk because it might just stall out at this minor support area. I don't like it when the minor areas are so close. So potential short here, but it's a bit risky, guys. Do keep an eye on it though. DXY pushing up to resistance. Not everyone can trade this. Pushing up to resistance. If it stalls out on resistance, I'm looking for a short, but it's only just getting there. It's not showing signs of stalling right now, so this one we're probably gonna have to wait. EURCHF price drop to support, stalling out on support. Potential for a long here. If it breaks through though, there's potential for a short. Basically, we just need to see with this and a few of the others, we need to see what happens at this support area. We need to see if it's gonna stall or if it's gonna break through. And until that time, we don't really know for sure how we're gonna trade it. EURJPY stalling out pretty heavily on support. It's been stalling out for 4 days now, and it's starting to push up a little bit. Definitely potential for a long here. I've been watching this one since last week. I know a few of you entered last week on the 8 hour on Friday. I think that was a bit of a hasty entry. There's no reason to enter on a Friday afternoon, in my opinion. Because you're basically just entering and then your trade's going on pause. No, even worse, you're entering, then your trade's going on pause for 2 days, but it's a weird pause where when you unpause it, it could have like just moved a bunch without you having any control or say about it. Well, you never have a say, but you have no control over what your trade's doing over the weekend. I mean, I'm not saying you never enter on a Friday. It depends on the setup, but the 8 hour, you know, it's not like it's going to close by the time the end of the day comes. I mean, I guess it theoretically could if you get like an insane 2 candles that just push up like crazy. But the likelihood of that happening is very slim. So yeah, when a few of you entered on Friday and shared it to the forum, I said I was going to wait until Monday. Monday came and it didn't do much. I'm still looking at this today for a potential long. So the way I'm looking at it is something roughly like this. I wanted to push up a fair bit before it confirms my entry. My stop loss is fairly tight. Could be a bit wider, but I'd rather have that entry wide, and I can't have both of them wide because then I'm going to have a horrible risk to reward ratio. So I'm just going to have my entry up here So I want my entry basically to break the high of the last 4 candles, essentially. And then I'll look for a long. There is some minor support resistance through here, but it doesn't look overly significant. And this is also, by the way, I forgot to say this. We've been looking at this for a while now. This is also a range. So price is at the bottom of the range right now. I forgot to mention that. So I'm excited for this setup. I just wasn't excited enough to hastily enter on the 8 hour. So yeah, I'm just going to wait for this one to start pushing up and then looking for a long there. GBPAUD, it's stalling out. The way this is stalling out on support, I just don't really like it. It doesn't look that good to me. It's a strong downtrend. It's stalling out. It looks like it might want to continue to push down from here. So let's just keep an eye on it. If it drops down, I'll be looking for a short. But honestly, I'm probably not going to do anything with that. GBPAUD, this is CHF rather. This is similar to EURCHF, where it's trending down. We just got to see what it does here. We've got to see if it stalls out or if it drops down. It's such a strong downtrend. It looks like it's probably going to keep dropping down. GBPUSD, it's coming to support. Basically, we want to see if it breaks the support area or if it stalls out. So somewhat similar to GBPCHF. But also here we have a potential range forming. We have 2 bounces from the top. We have 1 bounce from the bottom. This could be the second bounce from the bottom. So very curious to see what happens with GBPUSD, but it's not there right now. New Zealand USD, price is pulling back to support. We could get a long continuation from here. Now, I know I was just saying about AUDUSD, it hasn't really moved that much, and overall the trend is down. This one, you could technically argue on the weekly that the trend is down. You could, but first of all, this trend's not as strong as that AUDUSD trend. That AUDUSD trend's a lot stronger. And I know this one hasn't been trending up for a long time. It's been pretty much the same as AUDUSD in terms of how long it's been trending up. But there is one critical factor. This has broken through that 200 moving average. So the trend is potentially starting to turn here. That 200 moving average is just an indicator that banks and hedge funds use and managed funds to basically tell them the direction of the trend. When price breaks above it, the trend is bullish. When price drops below it, the trend is bearish. So price has broken above it. It looks like we're getting a bullish trend. Is this a great continuation setup? Is it a strong continuation setup? No, because a strong continuation setup relies on a very strong trend. We don't really have a very strong trend here. This is overall a weakish trend. It's a potential start of a trend, but it has broken through that 200 moving average. So if it does stall out here, which it's not doing yet, I will consider a long from there. But it's not done so yet, so, you know, let's just keep our minds open with that one, but I don't want to commit to a position on that one. USD CAD pushing up to resistance, potential short from resistance here, guys. Looking good on the 8 hour, actually. If you want to enter on a smaller time frame, looks good on the 8 hour. Forgot to mention time frames. I'm looking at the daily for most of these. AUDCAD looking at the daily. DXY, this one I'm open to trading on the 6 hour, 8 hour, 12 hour. EURCHF, let's wait for the daily on these ones with the big trends. EURJPY, this one, definitely waiting on the daily for this. GBPAUD, that's probably not even going to trade that. GBPCHF daily, GBPUSD. This one I'm more open to looking at lower time frames as well as the higher time frame. So 4 hour, 6 hour, 8 hour, 12 hour. Just because the last few bounces have been quite quick, and they've been too quick for the daily. See how like we have bounces here? They're just too quick for the daily. So looks like this pair is moving fast right now. So I'm looking at some lower time frames for this one. it's a necessity thing. You have to look at lower time frames because of how fast it's moving. New Zealand USD also looking at lower time frames. I tend to go more towards lower time frames for continuations because they do happen a bit quicker. So New Zealand USD looking potentially at lower time frames too. So 4 hour, 6 hour, 8 hour, 12 hour daily. USD CAD, again, this has been moving quite quick, too quick for the daily. So I'm looking at 12 hour, 8 hour, so on and so forth. Looks decent on the 8 hour right now. Looks like we're getting some decent indecision. We need to obviously wait for these candles to close. Keep in mind, guys, the higher the time frame, the more reliable the setup. So even though I'm looking at lower time frames, I always prefer to go to the higher time frames because it's more reliable. So let's wrap this one up, guys. Unless there's any important questions, I do have to get out of here as I have a one-on-one mentoring session planned today. All right, it doesn't look like there's any questions, so let's wrap this one up, guys. Thank you for attending, and I'll see you guys for tomorrow's webinar, which should start at the same time of 10 o'clock. Thank you, and bye.